Hello guys, I'm Kyle, also known as Cake Man to a few people. So last night on the stream we were talking about the availability of bread, flour, yeast. I used to be a baker by trade, so I want to try and talk to some of you guys about how to make bread without certain ingredients. So if you can't get hold of yeast, I'm going to show you how to make a sourdough starter, and then in a week's time, once the sourdough starter is ready, we'll make a sourdough loaf. If you can't get hold of strong white flour for bread making, I'm going to show you how to make a soda loaf, which is a denser, thicker loaf, quite commonly found in Ireland, but it's still a very, very nice loaf of bread. We're going to start today with a sourdough starter. So this will be a very short video. It's not going to be a very well edited video. It's not going to be a very well put together video with great sound. In fact, you might even be able to hear the dishwasher in the background because, well, things need to be done. But we'll start off with the sourdough starter. I'll show you how to make it, what you need to do, what ingredients you need, and we'll go from there. So for the sourdough starter, you are going to need 150 grams of flour, 250 ml of warm water, a tub in which to mix, and a whisk. Right, mix the ingredients together, the water and the flour, into your tub. Fortunately, I've got a handheld single whisk here, so I can just plunge away. You want to make sure this is well mixed. The more mixing you get, the more yeast spores will be released. Oh, it's a good action. Oh, it's an action I'm used to. Wrong hand though. But yes, more air in there the better, basically. So at this point we have mixed this into a relatively bubbly, fairly thick batter. You don't want to go too warm with the water. I should have mentioned this to start with. You don't want to go too warm with the water. You want it slightly above room temperature. You want to notice it as you put your fingers into the water. It's a slightly warmer water. From here, what you want to do is put your lid on, and you want to keep that somewhere warm. Ideally the kitchen. If you're going to stick it in an airing cupboard, just make sure you don't stick it directly next to the boiler. You will kill anything that's in there yeast-wise, possibly even cook what is in there, which is not what you fancy. Not what you fancy. The first sort of signs of fermentation should happen relatively quickly. You want to be checking this in about 12 hours time. You will notice a difference in how it appears. So you can see at the moment there's light bubbles there. You will see some proper difference. You'll see some bigger bubbles. Most importantly, you'll get a very interesting smell. So it's a smell akin to brandy wine, I guess, sort of apple vinegar kind of thing. It's the smell of fermentation, basically. When you get to that point, you want to add another 150 grams of flour and another 250 ml of water. You're basically feeding the sourdough starter. You want to be checking this. You want to be checking this more or less every 12 hours. Obviously, if you're going to bed, don't. And then from subsequent feedings, you're going to be giving this daily feedings. So you're going to tip out half away tomorrow, if it's starting to ferment. Tip away half, or maybe even split this into another bucket or container. Maybe give it to one of your relatives if you feel that they need a sourdough starter. There's ways to retain it if you want to. You're then going to add another 150 grams and 250 ml of water, and you're going to do that for a week. At the end of the week, it will be quite obvious that it's ready to go. You're going to tip away half again, or retain half, and bake with the other half. Hopefully, that's fairly easy to follow. We'll be back in a week's time, because it takes a week to get a sourdough starter going. I've not had one in the house for a long time, so I'm starting afresh again. And then we'll make a sourdough loaf with this. So it's important to note you don't need any particular type of flour. Any flour will do. I've used just plain white flour here. Ideally, if you've got whole wheat flour, they tend to have more wild spores in them, obviously because it's a whole grain as opposed to a finely ground grain like this one. You also tend to get a bit of a more mature flavour out of it. But yes, have a look at it, keep it going, and I'll speak to you about the sourdoughs in a week. Ta-da.